Hi there everyone, today we are rationalising, specifically rationalising surds, alright? So if you're not quite sure what rationalising surds are, pay attention because ultimately it comes up an awful lot these days when you're dealing with surds. So the idea is when you're rationalising is to remove a surd from the denominator. They don't seem to like leaving a denominator at the bottom of a fraction. If you put a calculator, it'll instantaneously bring it to the top. It will automatically rationalise it, and if you're looking at exact trig ratios, you'll see exactly the same kind of thing. All right. So if the denominator is in the form root a or b root a, then you must multiply it by the numerator and denominator by the root. All right. So the square root. Okay. So by timesing top and bottom by the square root of a, that's still the same as times it by 1, which keeps it the same value. But what it'll do, it'll remove the square root from the bottom. All right, so let's look at an example. So if you've got 4 over root 5, obviously it doesn't like the root 5 being at the bottom here. So I'm going to times it by root 5 over root 5. So whatever is at the bottom, all right, you'll see that there. Okay, so when I times the top two, again, this is times in fractions, I'll get the top as 4 root 5, but underneath, I'm going to have root 25. Well, root 25, when doing this, is going to turn into 5 because I can square root the 25 to 5. So I now end up with 4 root 5 over 5, all right? And that's it, done. All right, so you've removed the surd from the bottom. It's now come to the top, and obviously you've got a whole number now at the bottom. All right, so that's it, done. All right, so with this one, it's slightly different because you've got a 2 there. And you know, it says suggested in the question at the top, or so the statement at the top, that you just times it by the square root. And of course you are gonna, if you decided to times it by 2 root 3 top and bottom, what you're going to end up doing is you're going to end up with a 2 at the top and another 2 at the bottom. They're going to cancel each other out, and it's a bit of a waste of time, all right? Because they would then simplify and then cancel each other out. So the best thing to do is just times it by the surd, which is root 3 over root 3. So you're going to end up with 5 root 3 over 2 root 9, okay, because the roots times together. Well, root 9 is 3 times 3, so you're going to have 5 root 3 over 2 times 3, which is going to be 6. So you're going to have 5 root 3 over 6. All right. So please note how I'm doing this in terms of the process. It's not a quick answer. It's not a quick process. It's about a methodical step-by-step process. Okay. So over here, you've got 4 over 2 root 6. So there's two choices here. I could look to simplify the numbers to start with, but I guess they probably don't. So we're going to times it by root 6 over root 6 first. Okay. So when we times the top bit, we've got 4 root 6, and then we're going to have 2 root 36 over here. All right, so now we're going to try and sort this lot out. So you're going to do root 36, which is 6. So it's going to be 2 times 6 at the bottom times by 4 at the top. And then it's going to be 4 over root 6 divided by 12. And then because these two are whole numbers, again, these will simplify each other out because 4 over 12 is the same as 1/3. So therefore, we've got 1 root 6 over 3. Don't really need the 1, so you might leave it as root 6 over 3. Yeah, we do. Okay, so that is rationalising with a surd at the bottom. Okay, so what about if your denominator is a little bit more complicated? Well, there's a bit of a trick and a technique to this one. All right, so we're now really kind of aiming at those top grade students, aiming for the top effort in terms of 8s and 9s. So if you see something like this at the bottom, well, what it suggests over here, if you're get it in the form a minus root b, so what we've got, then you're going to times it by a plus root b. If you've got a plus root b at the bottom, then you're going to times it by a minus root b at the bottom. Right, the whole purpose of doing this, all right, so if you see something like this, is because if I times this at the bottom by 3 plus root 2, it becomes the difference of 2 squares. All right, and when it becomes the difference of 2 squares, what will happen is this surd will disappear, and you'll literally end up with just a number. All right, and it is just a trick. It's something you need to be aware of. So it's going to be, I'm going to times top and bottom by 3 plus root 2, and you'll see that happen now. So that stays as it is. I'm going to times top and bottom by 3 plus root 2. Okay, so expanding the top bracket, you've got 5 times both of these two. So you've got 15 plus 5 root 2 at the top, which he's going to do now. And then at the bottom, well, when I multiply this one out as a double bracket, which is what it is, you're going to have 3 times 3, which is 9. You're going to have root 3 times root 2, which is 3 root 2. you're going to have 3 times minus root 2, which is minus 3 root 2. And then you're going to have root 2 times minus root 2, which is minus root 4. So you end up with this. Well, these plus 3 root 2 and minus 3 root 2 will cancel each other out because it's plus that and minus that, so they disappear. The root 4 is 2, so it's going to be 9 take away 2. So all I'm left with will be 7 at the end. All right, and I guess that's kind of the point why we're doing it, is that's what we were trying to achieve in the first place. All right, so let's write that at the top. So you've got 15 plus 5 root 2 over 7. And then I'm looking at, do these can simplify each other out? Well, if I was going to simplify these two, they'd both have to be divided by this, and of course they don't. So I am absolutely done. There's nothing else I can do with that. Okay, so that is a quick whistle-stop tour of rationalising, but of course there are more questions online for you to practice, so please go to maths-school.co.uk. There is a link or website address at the bottom for you to practice a little bit more. All right, thanks for listening.